Welcome back everyone. Today we will be discussing once again the Jordan 1 University Blue. Specifically, we'll be discussing whether you should sell or hold the Jordan 1 University Blue and why that is. To preface this, if you guys enjoy these types of videos regarding the market, reselling, and even info on how to acquire these limited products, be sure to subscribe and enable post notifications just so you're always 100% updated. Furthermore, for more urgent updates like shock drops, raffles, Sitelists, etc., be sure to follow my Twitter KeithAdam10 and personals for you. This way you're always in the loop 24/7 whenever there is a restock or drop. For those who don't know, the Jordan 1 University Blue releases on March 6th. Retail will be $170, $130 for grade school, $80 for preschool, and $60 for toddler, but we'll just be focusing on the men and grade school pairs today. Be sure to watch my How to Cop guide if you have not yet, and you do happen to be watching this before the drop, but otherwise, let's continue. In order to determine if the Jordan 1 University Blue will be a fruitful hold, we will cover an estimated range at what the sneaker will settle at after the drop, and also when shipments come in, essentially the pairs going into circulation, whether they're expected to increase post-drop or even hypothetically decrease, along with how much specifically over specific periods of time, and finally, what type of margin are we looking at for these in terms of holding, not the retail to resell initial margin, but rather just the hold margin over X period of time. In other words, are these going to be worth your time or not? Kicking it off, let's discuss the estimated range of what these should be settling at. To begin with, stock for all sizes combined worldwide is just over what we normally see for Jordan 1 highs at around 130,000 pairs, so that's not extremely limited, but it's also certainly not going to be an easy cop, especially with this type of demand we're seeing. This caliber of demand is absolutely insane for these. With that said, the bids are all very healthy and the sale volume pre-drop is already fantastic. Therefore, as discussed in the How to Cop video, I'm personally going to be going for all sizes in men and grade school, as I do expect them to be very profitable with an incredible margin. Full throttle, without a doubt, of course. For any calculations in this video, we'll just be using the men's pairs, since the grade school pairs should react proportionally as usual, hence it's unnecessary. Now, regarding a specific range, prices have been declining over the past week, which is completely normal since people are just unloading their early pairs, and pairs that were the exclusive access are just now going into circulation from US and Europe. Since it's the night before the drop though, I don't expect any drastic changes leading up to 10 a.m. Eastern time. It should stay around this $430 price range for men and the $360 to $380 price range when it comes to grade school pairs. However, we will see a more notable change post US drop. This is when we will experience what I like to refer to as the impulsivity effect. You guys should know what I'm referring to by now, as we discuss it very frequently in these seller hold videos, yet it almost always still occurs. Regarding the impulsivity effect, if you haven't watched my seller hold videos before, sneaker drops specifically impact human impulsiveness significantly after an individual fails to acquire that desired product due to insufficient supply and too much demand. Therefore, on average, we normally see about a 10% increase of the pre-drop prices, sometimes more than that, sometimes less than that. This isn't always the case, but majority of the time it is, and it should be the case on these as well. During the morning of the 6th, after all drops occur, until late afternoon and evening, we should see a pretty solid premium. Sometimes I don't always feel that it will be a 10% increase. Like I said, sometimes it's lower, sometimes it's higher than that, such as the Volt Golds, for example, which I said would be lower than that due to the low amount of demand for those. But with this amount of demand for this pair, I could definitely see a 10% increase at least. In fact, I normally would have even said more than 10%, but the issue here is that the prices are already so high, it's almost as if people are already pricing in the post-drop potential into their bids. Regardless, I still feel that there is enough demand for that 10% anyway. Assuming they are around a conservative $430 right before the drop, prices could very well end up settling around $470 on average right after the drop. Some will be slightly higher, while some will be slightly lower than that. Now let's discuss what prices will look like once shipments go out in the 1 to 2 week range. So during this period, the vast majority of pairs that weren't exclusive access or weren't early pairs and weren't in-store pairs will be going into circulation. When it comes to these decent sized releases on like extremely limited dunks, for example, the effects are normally very noticeable, often upwards of 15% or so. However, considering many are already in circulation and demand is extremely high for these, I'd side closer to the lower end, and this is despite prices already being so high. With this kind of demand, I honestly feel that these absurd prices are kind of justified. I'd say a 12% for this drop would certainly be reasonable for that reason, closer to the lower end of that 15 to 10% range. This This should leave prices slightly lower than the pre-drop prices, so what they are at now, potentially as low as $415 to $420 on average. Remember, some sizes will be more than that and vice versa. Now that the average price range at those points in time are evident though, let's discuss whether they're expected to increase post-drop or even hypothetically decrease, along with how much specifically over specific periods of time. So when it comes to this specific pair, I actually wanted to make a comparison to what we've been seeing on the Jordan 1 Mocha because the demand on both of these is extremely similar. Initially, like expected in my hold or sell videos for those, prices did see the impulsivity effect, but then they did drop in value as pairs did go into circulation, as expected of course. Then rather quickly, they did see a recovery and they're still continuing their journey to the moon. I'm expecting a very similar situation for these, but it may take a little longer for a noticeable increase to occur in comparison to the Mochas due to this already very high resale price. Regardless, I do believe that these will increase. It just might take slightly longer than how it did for the Mochas because again how high these are already, and this increase comes after the natural decrease that we will see as pairs do go into circulation. So of course you should expect that decrease. I'm talking about following that decrease, these should eventually end up increasing. It's just that it may take a little bit longer compared to the Mochas. Finally, regarding the hold margin on these, essentially the price you could have gotten versus the hold price in say 12 to 14 months, aka are these actually worth your time? Undeniably, Jordan 1s in the University Blue colorway have always proven to have immense hold potential. As I already did mention, I am confident that these will have a notable increase in the future. Within 12 to 14 months though, I don't see these being the best hold, and that's primarily due to the already extremely high resale we're seeing. It cuts so deeply into your potential return on investment, so within that period, although I do feel that they will increase, yes, perhaps not the greatest hold just because of how much they already are. However, what I am most excited about for these, and exactly why I am planning to hold these, is the long-term potential for these. I honestly do not think that this colorway has a ceiling, at least within the next couple of years or so. I can very well see this pair eventually getting into the $800 range, which would be about double in value compared to what we're going to be seeing post-drop when pairs are in circulation, perhaps in as little as 18 months or so. If we're thinking really long-term though, we can even look at the UNC Jordan 1 from 2015. This pair is up in the $800 range already, and initially was barely profitable in the $200 range. I definitely see that same potential when it comes to these. Now obviously it's been significantly longer for that, but over time the demand for this UNC colorway, especially with the introduction of the off-white Jordan 1 High, the UNC colorway, we have been seeing more and more demand for these UNC colorways, even the Jordan 1 Low in the UNC colorway. So overall, I'll be holding all of my pairs, and I'm going to be holding them for a very long time. In the semi-long-term perspective, perhaps these won't be the best, primarily due to the very high resale currently, like I already did mention, but if you don't need the capital and you can sit on these for a while, there's a very high probability that you'll see a pretty nice ROI in the future. For those of you who do not plan to hold these on the other hand, sell these as soon as possible and take advantage of these insane prices right now before more do go into circulation. That's not what I'll be doing personally, but I do understand that not everyone has plenty of capital for these, and just a note in general for anyone considering holding who does not have high capital, as I always do mention, you should never hold anything in general if you don't have sufficient capital to go for as many drops as possible at your full potential without holding back. If you do need money to go for all those drops, try to sell these during the impulsivity effect, as I was discussing before. So to conclude, I ended up rating this a 7 out of 10 hold. Above average, yes, but certainly not the best, unfortunately. And again, that's because of how much they're already going for. Had these been going for $300 or less, I'd say this is at least a 9 out of 10 hold. But unfortunately, that is not the case, and their long-term potential has already been partially priced in. I'll be holding these, perhaps not the greatest hold, but a decent one nonetheless, and that's just because of the fact that they're going for so much already. Anyway, good luck on this drop, or congrats if you already copped them. Feel free to like if you enjoyed, or you perhaps learned a thing or two. Subscribe and enable post notifications to stay 100% updated on any hype sneaker. Remember, if you guys need proxies or Nike sneakers accounts, be sure to check the links in the description for TARs and Kip proxies. And of course, follow my Twitter, KeithAdam10, and personals for you, so you always stay 100% updated on everything. With that though, I'll see you guys later. Enjoy the rest of your day.